Hello and welcome to the Outdoorsy Diva podcast. I am so happy that you're here with me. We're here in a new year, and it's already starting to look like 2020 in a wig. In 2021, it's been nuts, it's been crazy. Um, and so I had some other topics lined up to kick the year off, but we literally just went through an attempted coup here in our nation, in the United States. And this isn't something we can just gloss over and pretend like it didn't happen. And the face of this movement was white supremacists. Um, and so we have to hold space for that and give voice to that. And if you follow me on my other platforms, on Outdoorsy Diva, on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook, I have been very vocal about what's been taking place, about my thoughts on it and my lens as a Black woman, and watching these events unfold. And for a lot of you, I'm sure, I've gotten the question, well, why do you give your energy and your time to this? Why are you talking about this? You're Outdoorsy Diva. You're supposed to be talking about travel and adventure and getting outdoors and giving us wanderlust and giving us tips for getting outside. Why are you spending this time talking about politics? And we have to be real careful how we label what's politics, right? Well, politics still affect my day-to-day life, and it ties into everything that I love. It ties into every piece of content that I create. I love nature. I love the beauty of nature, the serenity of nature, the healing power of nature. But if we don't have nature, if we don't protect this environment, then nature goes out the window. If we don't protect this environment, we don't have the wildlife, we don't have the animals, we don't have the habitat for the animals. It's all intertwined and interconnected. So, yes, I speak out about this as an outdoor advocate because this is politics. It's this administration that is rolled back. There's over 60 different policies that have been put in place since the Trump administration to basically undo a lot of the good that previously been done. Just this week, even in the midst of an attempted coup, they still went through with the lease sale for part of the land in the Alaska Wildlife Refuge where they want to drill for oil. And the oil companies didn't even show up. They ended up selling it for like 20 something dollars a parcel, which is ridiculous. It's basically like I had a Walmart selling for what? You didn't even make the money off of it to offset these major tax cuts that that industry got. None of that went as planned, but that's just one example of how this administration has intentionally done things to harm our environment. Pulling out of the climate agreement, the changes made to the EPA, the changes made to the Clean Water Acts. There's all of these things. The list goes on. To things that were done to boost the businesses but hurt the environment. And so, yes, I care about what this administration does. Yes, I care about what the people who support this administration do, because ultimately it's still all connected. And then, as someone who's an advocate for diversity, for inclusion in outdoor recreation and travel, as a Black woman who speaks through my lens and travel and the outdoor experience as a Black woman, yeah, I care. And yes, I have to speak out about it and I have to call it out and call a thing a thing. So let's be clear, the events that happened on Wednesday, January 6th, in our nation's capital, that was an attempted coup. It was an insurgence. And it was intentional with the intent to disrupt and undermine the will of the American people and the leader that we lawfully voted to put in place. Even with all of the actual cheating, actual irregularities that took place in the election of 2016, we had to accept the outcome because that's democracy. These people tried to undermine democracy, not just people, majority angry white men donning symbols of oppression and white supremacy, wearing the Confederate flag. The Trump flag has become synonymous with racist and people who have these feelings. So to watch that happen, I'm sorry, there's no better word for it, but it was just a complete mind fuck as a Black woman to watch what these people in their privilege and entitlement and watch them with no fear of the police, no fear of retaliation or being hurt. And then knowing I don't have to guess or wonder if this had been Black people, how we would have been treated, because we saw it all summer in the Black Lives Matter protest. We saw the way that they dealt with Black and brown bodies, and they did not take care. And so to see them be unprepared, not have the numbers out in force, even as a deterrent, to see videos where we watch police allow them to leave, hold the door open for them as they walked out of the Capitol building, chanting and waving their flags. Do you have any idea what an assault on the psyche that was for Black people who watched the trauma of how we are treated and then watch the complete opposite of people who actually deserved it? If ever there was a time for some brute force, I'd say it's when you have a group of armed people storming the Capitol while our lawmakers are in session trying to carry out the duties of the Constitution. So it just goes to show you that it was never about the force. It was never about protecting and serving. It's not that they can't. It's not even about policy. It's not that they can't use non lethal force. They don't want to when they're Black and brown bodies because we watched white supremacists literally get away with murder and completely disrespect our country and everything that we say, quote unquote, air quotes, we stand for. To hear people so shocked and appalled, and this isn't America. No, it is. It is. And that underbelly now is out. It's out and about. It's turned itself inside out. And that is because of the rhetoric that has been allowed and supported by this president. And anyone who tries to sit there now and say, why, but not me. No, if you didn't speak out against it, then it's you too. You're culpable. You're guilty. And to watch these criminals just walk out of there, it's sickening. Like the anger I have felt in these last 2 days, the rage I have felt, it has been almost debilitating because I couldn't turn away from it and I couldn't stay silent about it. I've put myself in this position of being a voice, speaking when people don't have the words, but that work is taxing. And every moment, every minute that I'm arguing with trolls, posting this stuff, watching the news so that I'm informed before I even open my mouth. Every moment that I'm consuming this toxic stuff, I'm not working on my stuff, my business, my plans, my dreams, my entrepreneurial goals. It's literally taking money and food out of my mouth to do this work. And that sucks. Um, but I have to. It's necessary. I can't stand by. I don't judge other influencers who choose not to use their platform, but I'm not that person. I'll never be that person. And I'll always use my voice to stand up and speak out and to call out when I see wrong. I've been very disappointed in some people that I followed and didn't realize they would be in support of a complete overthrow of our government. Very disappointing to see that. But I will continue to speak out. I'm always going to speak out. I'm not going to back down from this. And, if you're new here, welcome to it. I'm Lauren. Hi, I'm the Outdoorsy Diva. And this is what I do. I speak out against oppression, I speak out against white supremacy, I speak out against injustice, I speak out against racism, sexism, classism, all of it. And I don't mince my words. So I'm glad. Welcome to all the new followers. Happy to have you as part of the community and part of this work and to have your support. But know that what this is what you are getting, and this is who I am. And I won't back down, and I have no plans to back down. I have no plans to shut up and be quiet. So if we're in the midst of a turning point such as this, yeah, you might not get the pretty pictures for a minute. You might not get the videos that whisk you away, or you might get the pretty picture, but it's got a fiery message superimposed on top of it. I'm a duality. I can give you both, but that's who I am. That's who this brand is. Lauren Argay and Outdoorsy Diva. Those are my brands, and that's who we are. And we don't back down from what is right. So, welcome to it. Happy to have you. But if you're tired of seeing it and this isn't what you want to see, well, swipe, because I'm sure there's somebody out there offering you fluffy content with no substance if all you want to do is take your mind off of it. But when I have something that needs to be said and it needs to be called out, I'm going to do so. And to see my latest post, I got into one of the insurgents, domestic terrorist, who was shot and killed um, by either, security detail for our lawmakers or Capitol Police. We don't really know all those details yet, but this woman, Ashley Babbitt, shot and killed, lost her life. But what's so infuriating is to see the sympathy, empathy, humanity bestowed upon a person who betrayed our country. This woman was a veteran. She took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And the moment she decided to be part of this mob, to break into this building and try to climb through a window in a door to where our lawmakers were hiding in fear of their lives, she did this to herself. And so to watch the coddling and the excuses made for this woman is sickening. She chose to be there. She wasn't brainwashed. She wasn't led. Nobody made her do it. She chose it. She chose to believe this stuff. She chose to believe these lies, as many of our fellow Americans are continuing to do. If you look at the numbers out there, all of these people are there on the basis of lies, things that have been proven to be untrue. There was no mass fraud. There was nothing was stolen. No ballots are missing. Stop. These people live in an alternate reality, and her included. And then to hear our lawmakers start the session offering their sympathies. Y'all ain't had no sympathies for Breonna Taylor, who was in her house minding her damn business. Y'all didn't have no sympathy for Trayvon Martin, a child who was chased down by a wannabe rent-a-cop, a neighborhood watchman. Don't have to say his name. Y'all know who he is. Tamir Rice, a child playing with a toy gun, shot within seconds of their arrival. But y'all let white men literally attack and mob and storm the Capitol Police. I've seen videos. It's ridiculous. A Capitol policeman was killed, lost his life at the hands of this mob. So to see the way that we are not handled with such care and treated in such regard, and to watch you make excuses for this woman, stop. We are always trying to find a way to excuse away bad behavior when the actor is white, and especially white women. Stop. She was wrong. She was in the midst of committing a felony and she was killed justly. Those are the facts, like it or not. And so a lot of people didn't like what I had to say on Instagram, and I don't care. I'm not taking it back. I'm not taking it down. And if it rubs you the wrong way, it rubs you the wrong way. If you don't like this episode because of what I've had to say, that's okay too. This episode is intentionally not sponsored by anyone so that I can say exactly what I want to say and how I feel about it. But these are the hard truths that you have to face. And you can't say this isn't about race, because it is. At the heart of the matter, it is. At the heart of the matter is this notion of white supremacy, this notion of entitlement, this notion of disenfranchising our voices. Because how dare Black voters turn out in such force and influence this election? How dare we? And they're up in arms about it, and have been since President Obama was installed, was the beginning of this resurgence of these feelings. It never truly left. I'm not naive enough to think that, but it definitely has come back, and it's come back with a vengeance. And it's not just old people, it's a younger generation. You know, it's my age, it's millennials, it's Gen Xers, and Gen Z. I've seen people my son's age, young, 20, 21, 22, with these same hateful views. So it is about race, because at the heart of this movement is this notion of white supremacy. And to watch them march around in the racist, anti Semitic clothing and messaging that they had was sickening. To watch them wave the Confederate flag, the losing flag of the last time y'all tried to buck against the United States of America and break away. You lost. And to watch them walk around with this flag in the halls of the Capitol, sickening. And you can't support one and condemn the other. It's not, you can't. You support it or you don't. And the time has come for you to draw a line in the sand. My line is drawn very clearly. Um, and I'm not worried about losing brands and sponsorships, because I'm speaking my truth. And any brand who had an issue with me speaking my truth based on my experience in this country as a Black woman is not a brand I would want to be aligned with anyway. So, I don't live in that fear. I don't live in that space. And I'm going to speak. I'm going to use my voice. And I'm going to cut ties with people who refuse to uphold what is right. I'm going to cut ties with people who continue to uphold white supremacy, white supremacist ideals and ideas. And fun fact, you don't have to be Black to uphold white supremacy. It's not a requirement. Sorry. Fun fact, you don't have to be white to uphold white supremacy or white supremacist ideals. There are other people of color that do it all the time. All the time. So everybody can get this work. It's equal opportunity, including Black people who also uphold white supremacist ideas. So that's that on that. I'm still angry. I'm still disheartened. I'm really concerned about the young woman in LA who was accosted by this mob of white Trump supporter men in a rally in LA on Wednesday by herself, had pepper spray sprayed directly into her eyes at close range, had her wig snatched off, beaten, held down, all while the police were feet away and did nothing. I'm really concerned about that, and in my prayers are with that young lady. And again, this is why you can't sit here and tell me it's not about race. Um, they accosted her. She wasn't bothering them. They said something to her. They didn't like her response. I read that they asked her if she voted for Trump. She said no and shot him a bird. That doesn't, I don't know if that's true or not. It's what I read. But whether she did or not, it didn't give them the right to do what they did to her, to accost her. And so for me, that's scary because on my platform, I'm always telling us to be bold and go into these spaces, and they don't own these spaces and they can't tell us where we can and can't do, and not to miss out on experiences because of white people and their entitlement and sense of ownership. How do I reconcile that when we have things like this that happen, and knowing that this mentality is still out there, and we just have to persist and persevere and protect ourselves? We are in charge of our own protection. And whether that's self defense or being armed or both, I support it. Protect yourself in these spaces. But that's a hard thing to have seen, to see that footage. I haven't watched video. It's traumatizing for me. And I'm probably not going to watch more than what I've already seen. But the still images I saw were enough to make me cry. And just to look at this nation and this country that still is so sick and so ill, and yet people pretend not to see it. And I don't have the answers. I don't know where we go from here because I truly believe that's a heart matter, and no person has the ability to change someone's heart. I can't make you not be hateful. So I don't have the answers. I don't know. But I don't buy into this whole hands, we should all just be friends. Nah, it's some stuff you can't forgive and overlook. And so it's not cool. And I don't know what it's going to take, I don't know what the reckoning looks like. You would have thought a whole ass global pandemic, like the disease doesn't discriminate, you would have thought that would have been enough to quell some of this. And instead, it just made the divide even deeper. So I'm sad. I'm forlorn. I'm angry. I'm ragey about all of it. And that's just where I am. So take care, practice self-care, take breaks, breathe. You don't have to immerse yourself into this. I promise you, you don't. It is okay to step away and walk away. I have to even tell myself that. Don't be so consumed with it and with the news. Take breaks, step away. And I promise that my next episode will be a lot more uplifting and back to the great content I know you guys like to get from Outdoorsy Diva. So happy to have you riding with me, and see you next time.